Before we begin the manicure, we should offer a client to wash their hands. After that, we also use the antiseptic. It is best to ask the client to take off all the jewelry from the hands, so take off the rings so it doesn't come in contact with the antiseptic to avoid corrosion. For the comfortness, I also recommend to remove all heavy bracelets and watches. After treating the hands with the antiseptic, we look at the client's hands, both from the inside and the outside, to look at the overall state of the skin and nails. We look at the overall condition of the hands, such as any damages made to the skin. Ask the clients if they have any allergies and if we can see any developed on the skin. Now let's start the manicure. We begin by filing the free edge of the nail and giving it some shape. We start with the little finger. While examining the client's hands, we agreed to keep the oval shape of the nail, but the shape and the length on all the nails is different. The client wants the length to be slightly long, but the nail on the little finger is the shortest, it's quite short, so we will shorten the length slightly. It will be longer than compared to the nail on the little finger. We start by filing the sides of the nail plates. We file from underneath the nail without touching the growth point. We file under an angle from the outside towards the center. When you look at the nail plate from the above, you should see the center of the nail plate, and that is the center you file towards to make the oval shape. We file smoothly with the file placed underneath the nail, moving smoothly towards the center of the nail plate. You can see some feathers appearing on the natural nail, so we gently remove that. I'm using the 240 grit nail file, and I don't recommend using the hard grit nail file because it will damage the natural nail, and that can result in a nail peeling off in layers. If you're using a hard grit file, then you must use a soft file when finishing filing the free edge. Pay attention to how you're holding a client's finger. The grip should be stable, and I hold my finger by the phalanx where the nail plate is located. When narrowing the nail towards the center, pay attention that both sides should be symmetrical. You shouldn't narrow the nail suddenly, as a step can be formed, and never touch the growth point when filing the nail. So the filing of the free edge of the nail plate should be gradual and light. It's better to come back to the filing rather than overdo it. When filing and shortening the nail plate, a fringe will appear. Try to remove it without scratching the free edge. Don't try to remove all of it, as you will still have the opportunity to do this when using the buffer at the end of the manicure. Remove the nail dust after filing with a brush. Next step of the classical manicure is to remove the cuticle, and I'm going to use the cuticle remover to do that. You have different types of cuticle removers. They can be cream-based, gel-based or liquid-based. I will be using the gel-based cuticle remover. In composition, they could be acid, alkaline and oil-based. Professional salons are using acid or alkaline-based removers. First, I apply the remover onto my glove and then apply it onto the cuticle evenly using the pusher. It is best practice to apply the remover this way, because if, for example, you're using a brush and every time you're dipping that brush into the bottle with the cuticle remover, you can imagine how many bacteria you are applying onto a client's nails. So the way I'm showing you is the most safest way to apply the remover. After you apply the cuticle remover, you place the client's hands into the hand bath. It is just water without any additional substances added to it. Whilst the one hand is soaking in the hand bath, I will start filing the nails on the other hand. It isn't necessary to soak the remover inside the water. The cuticle remover softens the cuticle as it is, so it's not necessary to soak the hands inside the water. This is my way of doing it, and I like to use it this way as I'm using the gel-based remover. The removal of the cuticle with the cuticle remover is more gentle, and the cuticle that is being removed with the cuticle remover grows more slowly and is less prone to burst. This way of working has less risk of injury, therefore eliminates the danger of infections entering the growing zone. We remember that the cuticle is the natural barrier, as it protects the nail plate and the nail from bacteria and infections entering it. Now we will work with the pusher. It should be positioned steadily in the master's hand. The position in the hand is the same as when holding a pen, moving accurately away from you. We work moving forward at an angle of 45 degrees in relation to the nail plate, and move from one sinus to another without any pressure. Let's talk about how the cuticle works. The cuticle is divided in two parts. The edge of the epithelium. These are dry, dead or keratinized skin cells that we remove, and you saw how perfectly the remover handled this, which allowed us to gently separate everything from the nail plate, raise the proximal fold and soften the keratinized part of the skin. Another part is the living part, and here it plays a protective role against bacteria, as it protects against bacteria and the infections from entering the growth zone. Therefore, if you work deeply and cut deeper into the living parts of the cuticle or injure the layers of the skin, remember that the skin regenerates and restores, and then the body's protective function works to restore itself. It will result in the overgrowth of the cuticle with a much dense and thicker layer. Therefore, do not strive to cut everything off very deeply. With the lint-free cloth, we remove the excess remover and push the cuticles away from us with a pusher and clean the cuticle. That's how we clean the dead cells. Open the nail sinus here so you can check the proximal fold and see how you cleaned under it. The cuticle remover perfectly removes the skin excess, and the base of the cuticle cut is the correct position of the nippers in your hand. There are some rules for achieving an ideal cut. The working parts of the nippers are the cutters or the blades. They can be of different length. The working part, this is the very tip of the blade. We work by pressing our elbow to the body. We bring the lower blades of the nippers under the cuticle, and I shouldn't be able to see the lower blade. And at an angle of 90 degrees, with respect to the nail plate, we move in small steps, up to 2 millimeters, no more, each time changing the angle of rotation of the blades and slightly raising the elbow. Some professionals raise their elbow and slightly lift their shoulder, but only slightly. You can return with the pusher if you haven't finished or missed something. You can cut it again, and you can apply a little cuticle remover once more if you feel it is necessary, and move again, rounding up so that the cuticle is even and that after the cut there is no fringe on the skin, no burrs and no irregularities. And that's what we are trying to achieve. You probably heard such a thing as the European manicure. Here, European manicure implies working only with the remover and without any cutting tools. And now you can see that you can perfectly remove it with the cuticle remover, smoothing the cut. It's enough just to work with the cuticle remover and clean out the sinuses and folds with the pusher. That applies best for clients whose cuticles don't grow as much. You should always see what you are cutting. Don't do it blindly. Therefore, to see the angle of what you are doing, the movement of the cut is very short with small steps up to 2 millimeters, and you always need to change the angle of the blade by turning the client's finger. We reach the left sinus of rotation and turn the client's finger and end the cut. Wipe off the remaining skin with a napkin to see how neatly we have cleaned. If not enough, use a remover to clean and smooth the cut and duplicate our movements as necessary. Raise the proximal fold and check that there is nothing left. I duplicate the way to the left sinus, turn the client's finger on its side and finish the cut. I divert the instrument to the left sinus and turn the finger on its side. Turn the blades on the left side of the sinus and continue the cut in this zone. To perform a manicure, use sharp and sharpened tools with nippers or scissors so that the cut is soft and clean. If the tool is not sharpened, it tears the skin and as a result, hangnails may appear after the manicure. These are small tears of the outer layer of the skin in the area of the nail folds. They can be single or there can be a lot of them. Hangnails appear as a result of the skin damage from the habit of deep cutting and tearing, damaging the skin, and that cannot be done. It is best to cut them at the base so that they do not disturb with scissors. Advise this to clients. A torn hangnail leads to inflammation of the skin and the formation of a nail felon. And if a client did tear off the hangnail, you need to treat that area with the alcohol solution. After finishing the treatment of the nail plates with the remover, you need to thoroughly clean it off from the nail plate. The chemical composition of the remover will not cause harm to the healthy skin. However, you need to keep in mind that it can cause an allergic reaction such as redness. To avoid this happening, don't forget to take off the remains of the remover so it doesn't continue to affect the skin, as well as keeping the skin's pH in balance. There is one more manipulation you could do, and that is polishing the skin. It is not mandatory to do so, but I like completing the step. Not everyone understands the importance of this manipulation, but polishing the skin is necessary to even out all the tiny unevenness of the cut. Also, it smooths the skin and adds shine to it. You can clearly see this on the video. If your manicure is completed and looks neat without any hangnails, and if the hangnails didn't appear on the third day after completing the manicure, then the manicure was carried out successfully. However, if the hangnails did appear, then there was an error made with smoothing out the skin, and the polisher will help smooth all the cuts. So that's why I recommend using it. While polishing, I'm working at a low speed with the rotational speed of 7,000 rotations. After polishing the skin, we need to use the buffer to polish the ends of the free edge. It's a good opportunity to get rid of the nail fringe that appeared during filing of the nail. Use light, short or long movements on the end of the free edge. Finish the manicure on one hand and remove the dust after filing, and then move on to the other hand. We also applied the remover onto the other hand and let it soak in water. The maximum time that you can leave the hand with the remover in the water is about 5 to 7 minutes. We complete the same manipulations that we have done with the other hand, but the cut we will complete with the scissors, and some rules will apply. Press your elbow of the working hand to your body and place the left blade of scissors under the cuticle. I can't see the lower blade. It is placed under the 90-degree angle in relation to the nail. Here we'll take into account the transverse arch and the bulge of the nail plate as the scissors move along. We do not tear the blades of the scissors away from the nail plate, and that is important. Don't lift the elbow too high, Use small steps up to 2 mm every time, changing the angle of the blades and slightly lifting the elbow. All the attention is on the tip of the blades on the closing. Reaching the left sinus turning, turn the client's finger sideward and finish the cut. You can duplicate the cut. The tool should be sharpened well and should close easily during the short cut. Remember that at first it will be difficult to complete the cut in one go, but that's what you need to aim for. Don't rush and take your time. The same actions are carried out as with the other hand, but using scissors, but the principle still remains the same. After finishing the cut, you can use the polisher to polish the skin and a buffer to buff the end of the free edge. On this finger, there was a deep crack that bothers the client, and I will demonstrate how you can repair the natural nail plate. Firstly, you need to prepare the nail plate for the gel coating by matting the nail plate using the buffer so that the nail is not shiny. Buff the end of the free edge using a softer grade nail file or a buffer. Remove the remaining dust that appeared as a result of buffing the top layer of the nail plate. Smooth the skin using the polisher. I apply a very thin layer of primer material on the whole of the nail plate. I will explain about the gel polish in the next video. I cut out a small piece from the paper-based fiberglass mesh. We need to separate the paper from the fiberglass that we use to repair the nail plate. Apply a thin layer of the contact base, locate the fiberglass onto a brush, and place the mesh to the crack, making sure it doesn't go over the free edge end. And tapping the mesh with a brush until it is fully soaked. At this stage, you can place the hand under the curing lamp, but it's a contact layer and it will not be enough. Straight away I apply a drop to cover and even out the nail plates until the mesh is not visible. As the gel has not been dried, the mesh can move. Just make sure it doesn't go over the free edge. If you don't use the fiberglass mesh, then the crack can reappear in the same spot again. This is your guarantee that the crack does not reappear. After polymerization in the curving lamp, take off the layer of the dispersion layer, that's the sticky layer. Now the nail will be protected and the client will not worry about the crack any longer. The final stage is to apply the base of the transparent nail polish over the whole of the nail plate and sealing the ends of the free edge. I suggest applying 2 layers of the nail polish, then dry it and apply the cuticle oil for moisturization of the cuticle. We have now gone through stages of the classical manicure, working with the nail nippers and the scissors. You can watch the video again, pausing when necessary. And remember, don't be afraid of failing and don't quit if something doesn't happen straight away. Keep on practicing and soon you will see the results. Remember that the speed comes with the amount of manicures you complete. So don't be too self-critical, but do try to analyze your work. Stay positive and enjoy the work that you do. Until next time.